Welcome back everyone, Mariah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be telling you why I sold 2 Bitcoin late last night. I'm going to be getting into why I sold those Bitcoin, which is going to be really interesting because we're going to be taking a look back at the 2017 bull market, and by making some comparisons, I made this decision to sell 2 whole Bitcoin yesterday. I'm going to be getting into have I bought back yet? When do I plan to buy back? And the price that I am setting those orders at. So let's go ahead and get into it. So throughout this bull market in 2021, there's been many times I have gone back to the daily chart from 2017 and try to see correlations between the two so I can make better decisions during this market cycle. And so, for example, one thing I've done in the past is I've gone back and looked at Bitcoin making new all-time highs in 2017 and watching the amount of days that it pulled back and how many days it took to make a new all-time high. When I did this during a 10-month period of time, I was able to find 3 times where it took Bitcoin 40 or more days after hitting a all-time high to make a new all-time high. So that's what I typically am looking for, and that's what we've actually seen during Bitcoin making an all-time high, and then how long it takes to make a new all-time high. So for example, when Bitcoin hit the all-time high in the $42,000 range, it took exactly 30 days to hit 58,000, the previous all-time high that we saw. So what we have been seeing is Bitcoin hitting a new all-time high, pulling back for about 30 days or so, and then making a new all-time high. But I am actually looking for a different scenario where Bitcoin hits a new all-time high, pulls back for just a few days, and then makes another all-time high. And that's what I believe we have actually just seen with Bitcoin hitting, actually it's taken 3 weeks after Bitcoin hit 58, pulled back 3 weeks, and then it hit the recent all-time high of almost $62,000. All right, so you can see here that yesterday Bitcoin made an all-time high of $61,788. I was looking back at 2017, and I was looking for a scenario where Bitcoin hit an all-time high and then pulled back and then made a new all-time high that was in the 5% range higher and then pulled back again, because we saw an all-time high of 42 and then 58. So these leaps are big, but I was looking for something different. I was looking for 2 all-time highs that were approximately within 5% of each other. So I was reflecting back on the charts from 2017, and I was trying to get a feel for where we are in comparison, like where we are now that compares to that particular cycle. So what I discovered here was something quite interesting and fascinating. I was looking in this area right here, and this was in October of 2017. And what I saw here was that Bitcoin made an all-time high of 50, it's like Bitcoin moves so quickly that it's so easy to say numbers wrong because you're so used to saying certain numbers for a certain period of time. So 5,867. I was like, that's kind of odd, add a 0. And we also had a top of in the $58,000 range. And then I noticed it pulled back for a few days, and then it made another all-time high, which was, like I said, I was looking for that 5% increase. This right here was 5.3%. And then this high right here, $6,189. That's kind of weird. Add a 0 to that, and what we just saw, the recent all-time high yesterday, was also in the $61,000 range. And I know that this strategy that I implemented isn't necessarily a good strategy because you shouldn't necessarily go off of numbers, but I thought, I think we are in the same area of the bull market. So what I did yesterday was I sold 2 Bitcoin. That's a big deal for me, even though it's really not that big of a percentage of my portfolio. I felt the need to sell it, and I was looking for a pullback. So if we take if we take the same percentage pullback, then we're looking at about 13%. I'm not sure we're gonna get that kind of pullback, and I'm not gonna be super greedy and try to get that 13%, but here's what I ended up doing. So let me just show you proof of my buy and sell purchases. So right here, you can see I sold one Bitcoin yesterday at $61,112. What's crazy is that like I have lower fees because of my volume, and literally every time I'm buying and selling in that range, I'm paying $110 in fees. Coinbase is making a lot of money off of me. And then shortly after, I sold another Bitcoin for $61,213. So what I did was I went to bed and I set some buy orders. And even though I think the Bitcoin has the potential to pull back in the $58,000 range, and I think it's gonna happen over the course of like the next 4 days or so, like I would be setting orders in like the $56,000 to $58,000 range. So I was like, you know what? I will be more than happy if I just make approximate, like an average of $1,000 USD profit and get my Bitcoin back. So while I was sleeping, a buy order filled for $60,400 and $59,857. So after looking at the charts again today, I still think that Bitcoin is going lower. So what I did was I sold again at the $60,400 range, and I will show you now where I have my buy order set. So the goal when it comes to all of this is you really shouldn't be focusing on the US dollar value. You should be focusing on the quantity of Satoshis. You always want to have more, right? So in this case, when I just sold at $60,400, I only sold one complete Bitcoin. I had two separate orders for half each. And you can see here that now I have two orders set at one for half a Bitcoin at $58,185, another half of a Bitcoin at $58,444. I'm going to be super patient. I'm not going to FOMO in. I know this could take up to 4 days to fill. I think it's probably going to fill in the next 24 to 48 hours. And what am I going to be doing with the additional $4,000 that I will potentially make? I've already made profit at $2,000, but the additional $2,000 is I am going to be buying more Bitcoin. And so with that $4,000, that's more of like the play money. I actually set those a little bit lower because at the end of the day, I could take more risk. It's gonna be more risky for those to get filled versus like, I just wanna make sure that I am not losing out on quantity of Satoshis. I want that number to only be growing and never decreasing. And I encourage you to do the same. So what's next? Like, where do I see Bitcoin going after it pulls back for approximately 4 days? Well, I mean, let's just say that this continues. I think this is kind of weird and honestly surprising that Bitcoin had a top of $5,839. You add a zero, and that literally is within a few $100s of the $58,000 top. And then you look here at 6,189. That's also like a couple $100 after you add a zero from the all-time high that we just saw yesterday. And so I think what's gonna happen here, 4-day pullback, kind of like we see here, and then we're gonna go up. And let's say, for example, that this trend sort of kind of continues. Then that means that this high right here of this candle back in 2017 was 7,630. Add a zero, $76,000. I would say that is quite accurate. And let's see here. That was like a top, it pulled back for a couple days and then it hit a new top of $78,000. Let's say, for example, and this was in 2017, one of the 30% pullback. So Bitcoin will be due for a 30% pullback if it hits those ranges. And then if it continues, then we're looking at the $55,000 range to pick up some Bitcoin. So that's all I have for you today. I know it's kind of confusing to like go back to 2017 and like try to make comparisons, but it's really guided me well over the past few months. And the number one thing that has been so valuable with it is that, you know, in 2017, we saw Bitcoin, I believe at one point, 53 days it took before Bitcoin made a new all-time high. So it's very easy to think, oh my God, maybe the bull market is over, but that is not necessarily the case. So that's all I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love, hit the subscribe button, and go and leave a comment with what kind of videos you'd like me to make next.